Hi everyone, this is the first video of several that we'll do for the virtues. Now, I have a setup here. I basically have the PowerPoint off to my left, so if I look to the left, that's what I'm looking at, and I'll be able to tell you, look at this page and that page. I have the same Bible you have. I have the Catechism on my right, and I have some notes in front of me. So this will be as close as I can get to teaching in front of you with what I've got. And it's going to be okay. We'll get through this one way or the other. But I wanted to point out to you, I'll make sure that you get the PowerPoint in an email. And on the first page of that PowerPoint, what you'll see is essentially a drawing of a tree with the virtues listed in the trunk of the tree and the branches. Take a good look at that, because I think in itself it's a good teaching tool about how the virtues work and how they work in our lives. Right? Then there's this great quote, and I should point out that this PowerPoint, this lesson was taught last year by Kathy Kluge, who some of you know from class. She's a catechist at our parish, wonderful lady, and I stole her PowerPoint with her permission, and I adapted it and changed some things here. But one of the quotes that she included I will definitely use myself, and this is St. Paul writing to the Philippians. Whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is gracious, if there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things. This is supposed to be the mindset of a Christian. We are supposed to think about and really pursue excellence, right? So the virtues have everything to do with that. The virtues are about being excellent with God's grace, because we really can't do it without Him, of being in pursuit of what God always wanted us to be in pursuit of, holiness. Right? So another great quote from St. Paul, this time in his first letter to Timothy: "Fight the good fight of faith. Take hold of the eternal life to which you were called when you made the good confession in the presence of many witnesses." Right? The idea being that virtue is really a fight. It's a fight for good. And in this world, we have to make choices almost every day between good and evil. Right? With many of our actions, with the words that we think, and so on. Now, there's a definition page. I'll leave that in here. Kathy put it in here. It's very good. I want to point out that the Bible we got you, the Fireside Bible, has an excellent encyclopedia in the back with great definitions of many of the things that we're covering today. Please feel free to use this. It is a really good tool for finding very simple, straightforward definitions for many of the things that we're covering. And some of this is really about what I just talked about in the recap of what's in the will, and has to do with the notes from last week. But the first definition that is something new for us is the idea of disposition. Now, I've mentioned disposition before, but disposition is, as defined here, a quality or condition of a person necessary for the performance of some action, conditions required for the valid reception of sacraments. So it's really two things. You have to have a certain disposition for this or for that. You can say, well, someone's properly disposed for this and someone isn't. But also for the sacraments. If you're going to receive Holy Communion, you're supposed to be not in a state of mortal sin. You're supposed to be in a state of grace. In other words, if you have to go to confession before receiving Holy Communion. That way, you will be properly disposed towards receiving the Eucharist. It's just something we have to always keep in mind. And then the virtues, and your PowerPoint, and this is slide number 6, will point out that the virtues are really covered between paragraphs 1803 and 1845. And what you find there is that they're broken down, and we're going to look at these in separate videos, so none of them are all that long. But the most important thing to know first is what a virtue really is: an habitual and firm disposition to do the good. Right? Virtues are habits. Think about it. It's so easy to build up a bad habit. Everybody knows this. And it's difficult to build up a good habit. Right? It takes effort, it takes time. It may take planning and decisions and choices where you don't even want to make that choice. But if you want the good habit result, you have to make that choice. Virtues are a habit. Those of you who are parents, you'll understand this. You teach it to your children. This is the right thing to do. That's the wrong thing to do. You're building up a virtue. You're building up a habit, a good habit of something to do, some way to live. Right? So the categories of virtues that we'll look at are the theological and the cardinal. Now the theological virtues, which we'll get to in a separate video, are those videos that are really given through the grace of God. They're supernatural virtues. Right? And then the cardinal virtues are the hinge virtues. Our behavior, our relationship with God hinges on them in many respects. That's where the word cardinal actually translate as hinge. Many people make the mistake of thinking, well, if it's cardinal virtue, maybe it has something to do with the cardinals in Rome who elect the Pope. No, it's actually just the word that means hinge on a door. Okay? These virtues are they're pivotal. Let's put it that way. That's probably how we would say it in English. So what we're going to do in the next videos is we're going to look at each set of these virtues. Essentially the cardinal virtues and theological virtues. But I want to point out something in your catechism. If you look at paragraph 1804, it says, human virtues are firm attitudes, stable dispositions, habitual perfections of intellect and will that govern our actions, order our passions, and guide our conduct according to reason and faith. They make possible ease, self-mastery, and joy in leading a morally good life. The virtuous man is he who freely practices the good. So these are something